how we're still somehow seen as lesser or baby-brained or somehow incapable, even though we are quite clearly the most capable beings on the planet. My name's Claire Cohen. I am a freelance journalist. I write a parenting column for The Times.
What would you say has been the biggest lesson that you've learned during motherhood?
19 months in, yes, I've got a 19-month-old little boy. I would say probably letting go of control. I'm a person who really likes to control things, and turns out you can't control that much.
Funny that, isn't it?
Funny that. I would say it's been quite humbling in that way, but also quite nice in that it's enabled me to be more present, and it's probably thrown up some opportunities that I wouldn't necessarily have been able to grab before.
And what do you think is the biggest issue affecting mothers right now in 2026?
Oh my gosh, I mean, that's a huge question. I mean, the obvious things that spring to mind are the motherhood penalty and how we're still somehow seen as lesser or baby-brained or somehow incapable, even though we are quite clearly the most capable beings on the planet, having not only grown a human, but doing the lion's share of the caregiving as well. I think the sooner we can bust through that myth, the better.
And what would you say as well when it comes to unpicking or unlearning certain cultural narratives or stereotypes or expectations of motherhood? What have you had to unlearn during the last 19 months?
I think making space for some of the positive stuff as well as the negative. You know, I feel like before you have kids, it's so easy to imagine what the negative stuff will look like. You know, the lack of sleep, the lack of freedom, travel not being the same, all that stuff is really tangible and you can really imagine it. But what you actually don't know or can't make space for, because it is kind of harder to grasp, is how joyful it will be and the positive moments, and that even when it's incredibly tough and you're really tired and really frustrated, there's still a really wonderful element to it as well. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but actually, you know, I was really surprised by that. You know, I really thought I knew what it was going to be and that I was prepared to make this big sacrifice.
Absolutely.
There's so much more to it.
And I think there's so much toxic positivity and negativity at the moment that there is actually a midway point, and you can have both joy and challenges.
Exactly. And why can't we have that honest conversation that tries to capture both of those things?